everything he campaigned on, I believe he wanted to do. And now he's doing the exact opposite thing of every single fucking thing.
I don't know what he's done. Yeah, exactly to your point. If you tell me, it's easier for me to believe you wanted to do all these things if any of them were happening in the way that you said they were.
To that point, like, there'll be people that, like, they'll DM me and be like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Yeah. I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it.
You voted for all of this, actually. And we tried to warn you repeatedly. So it is really hard to hear podcast bros like Andrew Schulz, Theo, Vance, Joe Rogan say, hey, I didn't vote for this. Because to me, all of this was entirely predictable. And I can't help but question their motives, because are they saying all this now because they're outraged at Trump 2.0 policies and his failure to deliver on key campaign promises? Or are they saying it because they're distancing themselves because he's now more unpopular than Joe Biden was while he was president? Yes, according to recent polling, now Trump is more unpopular than Biden with the American public. Now, I'm not going to continue dunking on Schulz, even though that would be very easy to do and I would probably get a little bit of joy out of it. But the thing is I want to practice what I preach, which is empathy and understanding. And I understand that we are all flawed human beings and we make mistakes. So if Schulz wants to go out there and use his platform and say, hey, I made a mistake in voting for Trump, then I'm all for that. And like I said, I can't speak to his true intentions, but I will say I appreciate him saying this compared to those MAGA grifters out there who are justifying crazy things like ICE murdering American citizens in our streets. But the real test will be when 2028 rolls around, and if JD Vance is at the top of the ticket, will Schulz and these other podcast bros keep this same energy? Because you can't say you regret voting for Trump and then back his vice president in the next presidential cycle. It just doesn't work like that. You can't distance yourself from the fire and then back the arsonist deputy.
She is a lot kinder than I am. And listen, I get what she's saying. At least we have more people saying these things rather than continuing to back the insanity that is this administration, the perverted nature of this human being Donald Trump. That is a good thing. However, I think it's the latter. I think that people like Schulz and others are doing what they can now to begin to distance themselves from the consequences of their actions. They knew what they were voting for. They knew what they were voting for. And if they didn't, with all due respect, they're not fucking smart enough to be voting. The whole goddamn world told them. He told them what he was going to do. He told them about the ICE and the immigration roundups and the trade wars and all of that. He told you about all of that. The one exception might be when it comes to him pulling a complete 180 once he got into office when it comes to foreign wars. These people are beginning to pull back because they understand Donald Trump is done. He is now a lame duck president. Even if the Democrats don't win in November, he's a lame duck president. He can't run for office anymore. His power is waning. His status with the American people is in the toilet because of what he's done to this country. And these guys like Andrew Schulz, don't want to be standing around 4 years from now remembered as the people who backed Trump. If they start doing it now, then they can bash Trump a little bit over the course of the next few years before he leaves office, and then they can go, well, look, and I've been bashing him for the last few years. I'm not buying it for a fucking second. They knew what they were voting for. They voted for every fucking ounce of this.